Secret friends, unite!
Welcome to the Secret Friends Unite podcast, episode 455. This is the Guide to the Geek Side, and I am one of your hosts, Todd Oxtra, from beautiful Savage, Minnesota, on the last week before Christmas. So whatever you celebrate, Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, Festivus, happy holidays to everyone. Joined by Charlie Carden.
It's Christmas time in Hollis, Queens. Oh, he's taking a sip so he can't take over. Mom's cooking up some collard greens. I don't remember
mac and cheese
either.
Yes,
mac and cheese. That's
there
it.
There you go.
When Run DMC found Santa Claus's wallet with $1 million in it, and the dough was for me.
And that creepy little elf with the closed circuit cameras. I never understood that. I don't know what was going on.
Wonderful Christmas song, Christmas in Hollis, which is featured at the beginning of Die Hard, when John McClane says to his limo driver, Argyle, "Hey, man, you got any Christmas music?" Man, this is Christmas music. Anyway, this week's jacket, which I already feel getting too warm, so you'll probably see me lose it. This is Han Solo's awesome Hoth jacket from the beginning, from the entirety of The Empire Strikes Back, a cosplay that I no longer wear. But again, I usually wear jackets for the first part of this, and then even though it's a little cold in here, I get too hot. And so you'll see me lose a jacket. That's why I have this cool t-shirt.
It doubles as Dr. Evil's jacket, but if you want to see that, you should be watching our YouTube of this episode.
No buttons on this. But anyway, we are. We're having a good time getting closer to the holidays. But we like to kick off every show by talking about our fantastic Patreons. These are the wonderful folks that make it possible for us to do all that fun extra content that you are listening to over at patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. You can go to that website, snag a free 1-week trial, and check out the fun programming we have. On the Friends with Benefits level, Corey and HG, John Sadorf, the awesome Phoenix Sisters cosplay, Mr. Brendan Myers, and Asian Sith Mistress on the BFF level. We have the awesome Nias family there in the Twin Cities, Sean, Stella, and Henry, and my dear friend Missy Merchant. So thank you to all of you. And again, patreon.com/secretfriendsunite, free 1-week trial. We want you to check us out. And if you like what you hear, feel free to stick around. All right. Patreons
always get ad-free episodes of our show because we will have ads in this show. If you're just getting from our free stream or from our regular YouTube channel, Patreons will get that ad-free. So another benefit to
the ad man coming.
Oh, and our newest member, Charlie. I don't know if I mentioned this. We had Matt Keel on our show. Right. And it was great. Matt came on, and while we were having on co-op mode, he became an instant Patreon.
It's that easy. It's that easy. Well, welcome, Matt. Oh, and he's at the top level. My. I lift my Gomtu to you. Very good. Cool. Well, good deal, Matt. And don't let me forget to obviously plug that in when I do code 47. Sometimes, it escapes me, but we're very grateful.
Exactly. We will give Matt his superpower next week when we've had time to think it up.
Yes, exactly. We'll shoot from the cuff. But what's not shooting from the cuff is this beautiful cover from September of 1967. I'm assuming the original Green Lantern comic, issue number 5. You have our buddy, Mr. Hal Jordan, standing in front of the titular Green Lantern, full size for
power
charging.
Battery.
The power battery. And he's got a bunch of his fellow lanterns standing around him, some of whom I recognize, some of whom like you got a purple guy with brown head, you got like a snake dude, pink guy, the guy with the orange fin, he looks familiar. And then, so just wrapping around. And so who's the lead dude? Although, is it Oa or is it, no, that was the name of the planet?
Ganthet. He is the lead guardian of the Guardians.
Yeah, in the red robe. So he's the only one who gets his own style. Otherwise, everybody wears green. So anyway, he says, the word bubble to the center, then to the top. We'll go counterclockwise. Title, Cosmic Enemy number 1. The word bubble being shouted by all of those lanterns who are pointing their ring fingers in a very menacing fashion and for committing the worst of all crimes, they're not very specific. Green Lantern of Earth, you have been sentenced to be power ringed to death. I'm not touching that one. And then your guy raises his hand to drop his arm, and how's he going to get out of this bucket of syrup? Feels like the Dukes of Hazzard.
Wah, wah, wah. Yeah, I'm trying to find the guy's name with the fin in his head. I thought it was Katmatui, I think was his name.
Catmandui.
Yeah, it was. I can't find it. Oh my goodness, I'm blanking. I love the Green Lantern Corps, but I don't know all their ranks. But obviously the most famous ones are not here. Kilowog and a few others.
Probably weren't even around at that time because those maybe a little more recent. So, well, anyway, somebody who was guy we watched The Graduate last night, and you know who that reminded me of? Looking at Anne Bancroft in that movie. Definitely our senior news correspondent, Madam Webb. Madam Webb, you're trying to seduce me. But anyway, she's down at the corner of Hollywood and Vine, waiting to give us all of the goods, all of the news that we know and love. So let's go check it out.
Now it's time for Madam Webb's Rumors and News. Take it away, boys.
Thank you, Madam Webb. Well, Charlie, I don't know if you knew this, but Madam Webb was actually the illegitimate child of Santa Claus and
Krampus.
Mrs. Frosty.
Oh, boy.
We don't talk about it much with the holiday icons, but Santa was a little bit heated. He needed something to cool him down. And Mrs. Frosty, she was having some trouble times. Things were a little icy with Frosty. And, well, there you go.
Oh, man. Talk about running hot and cold. Any port in a storm. All right. Well, we got a couple of bing bangs from Mr. James Gunn this week. What's going on?
Yeah, so we're hearing more and more about the future of the DCU and who will be in which movies. And at this point, we are hearing that a character who didn't get a great first reveal in Wonder Woman 84, that would be Maxwell Lord.
Oh, actually, God, that movie. I've never gone back and watched it again.
No, why would you? Great actor. Right. Playing just a poorly taken, just the character of Maxwell Lord, and that didn't even match what he is in the DCU. So I'm glad a character is getting a second chance to be used because Maxwell Lord's a pretty badass dude. In the comics, he started off as a guy who actually helped to get the Justice League together and form them. Oh, wow. And he was kind of like a Nick Fury in a way for the Justice League. And so because of that, and then his storyline took a really cool pause later on. The turn, loved it, and I hope we get some of that with this character. And that has led James Gunn to cast Maxwell Lord in the new DCU, and that will be his brother, Sean Gunn.
A stalwart of the MCU in particular, because he was Kraglin, one of the Ravagers in multiple projects, obviously involving the Guardians and their spinoffs and their time in the. I think
he does the motion work for Rocket too.
He's the Rocket mocap, which is weird because it's not like he's a little guy, but they needed. They're not going to pay Bradley Cooper to do that because he's a big actor guy. He's a big super actor man. But overall, and he's been in tons of other stuff. I think throughout the years.
Yeah, he was Kurt in Gilmore Girls, and he was awesome.
Oh, there you go.
Funny, goofy, fun, really good character. So this would be interesting if he's a more layered character because he's been typically very goofy in most roles. So this might be.
And that seems to be a layered role.
He also played Weasel in the Suicide Squad.
There you go. So another mocap role. That's one of those great memes that you see. Like, and then you just show Weasel just looking in the glass. Blah blah. That movie was fun. I'm going to say give it to that.
It was fun.
Yeah. And then secondly, we have, I tell you what goes around comes around. Nicholas Hoult back in the comic book world. Of course, he was the Beast in the X-Men. You don't even really want to call them prequels. It was the McAvoy era. Yeah, the First Class era. There you go. But he will be our Lex Luthor, which is fantastic. Boy, and it's a role that has been portrayed by so many. I think it's really tough to pick a favorite. I mean, Gene Hackman is a classic of the role, simply from back in that day. But
he's goofy. He's goofy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The one that I think really stands apart. And again, Todd, this is a film that very few people except for you and me really enjoy, particularly because art imitating life. Kevin Spacey,
definitely a villain.
Definitely a villain. So he for me is the scariest Lex Luthor, but I loved Rosenbaum in Smallville. John Cryer took on the role, I think, in one of the in the Arrowverse, didn't he? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was. He was very good in that. He was fun. I was watching a clip actually from the Crisis on Infinite Earths series where he met up with Tom Welling, and you find out Superman gave up his powers, and
yes, that was
Superman
great.
still punches John Cryer. So very, very well done.
I love it.
Clancy Brown was the voice of Lex Luthor on the animated series, who was very good too.
And you had the actor whose name I'm a blank on, who played Abraham on The Walking Dead, did a recent term.
Yeah.
But that was in the Tyler Hoechner Superman.
And we had I can't remember the name of the actor. He was in Titans. Lex showed up for hardly 2 episodes, and he died.
Yeah.
So
boy. Yeah. So anyway, it's a role that's covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, we didn't talk about certain guy, did we?
Well, we talked about
Mr. Skittles.
I'm drawing a blank.
Remember Eisenberg when he's taking the Skittles and feeding them to somebody? What a horrible
do you see that there was a blank space in my head where you were talking about it?
Horrible.
But anyway, Nicholas Hoult is he's a very accomplished young man. Classically trained British actor. He's
in the Menu. I love that role.
Oh yeah, it was a great flick. Loved him as the Beast, and I've seen him. I feel like I've seen him in enumerated other things. I remember him in About a Boy with Hugh Grant back in the 90s. When he was a very young man. He's just always been doing great stuff. So.
I never saw the movie with Nicolas Cage as Dracula.
Dead and Loving It.
No, it was his minion that he played, Nicholas Hoult.
Renfield.
Yes, I never saw it. I heard
I can't believe you didn't see that. It was a lot of fun.
It's on HBO Max, so I need to watch it. But yeah, I heard he was good in that too.
And speaking of movies you didn't see that we talked about, I've got another bullet dodger for you. Is that I bought my tickets for Aquaman, so you don't have to go.
Oh no, we want to see it. I want to see Aquaman.
I know. I'm teasing.
I'm surprised you're seeing it.
Well, I figured we're talking about it on the show. So what else? What else are we going to do? I mean, it's a responsibility.
You didn't see Wonka?
Well, I mean, no, it's not out yet. Does it come out on Christmas?
Oh, I thought it was out. Maybe I don't know. Is it out?
I don't think so.
I think it's out.
No, I think between now and the end of the year we have Wonka, Color Purple, and then Aquaman. But anyway, we're getting off track. So anyway, yes, it's cool to hear things being planned. Now that the writer's strike, the actor strike is over, we can expect to actually get some actual production news, which is pretty exciting. So, okay. Moving into, and Todd, this just came out of nowhere, and I'm glad I looked at this flow about an hour before we started rolling. I'm like, oh, we got a trailer, 2024, the movie. I'm like, oh, is this going to be like one of the scary movie things? This could be one of those spoofs. I watched this. This is completely insane. This is from A24. You said the director's name again was
Alex Garland.
Alex Garland.
Yep.
Yeah.
He directed Ex Machina and Annihilation, also wrote 28 Days Later and Sunshine. And this is by A24.
Right, so some serious stuff. But I'll kick it back over to you, but I will tell you my experience watching. I watched it on my laptop. My wife April's been, she falls into a rabbit hole every Christmas with bacon Christmas cookies, which we'll never eat. So thank God we'll give them to the squirrels or something at some point. But she was in the other room with headphones in her ears, but she heard me reacting while I was watching this because I was like, oh my God, holy crap. So anyway, tell us about the trailer.
Yeah, so the movie's called Civil War. And quite honestly, this is really a movie inspired by essentially the last presidency. Is the best way to put it. From the elements of 2016 to 2020, specifically January 6th. And this
very
is
divisive nation that we live in, yes.
Yes, and so this is a fictional, I guess, reality of what if things had gone a different way, and January 6th essentially had basically split the country. And now you've got the United States, and then you've got the Republic of California and the Republic of Texas, essentially trying to tear down a despot president played by Nick Offerman.
And it's told through the eyes of
Kirsten Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst is a
as a
journalist.
photographer.
Yeah, exactly. And then her friend, her crew and family. It seems like it was her daughter, her male co-star, his daughter. Wasn't sure to put it all together, but it's trouble when you see that Jesse Plemons is involved in anything.
Oh God,
because he's the soldier at the end when he's got them all. He's got them all. He's downrange with his weapon. He's you're Americans. What kind of American are you? It's just the guy's terror. I mean, we just watched Breaking Bad, and he's horrible. He's horrifying.
He played Todd. Why is Todd the worst name ever now?
Thanks, Todd. No more lightsaber night. Thanks, Todd.
I know exactly. I'm infamous. Apparently, my namesake. I'm going to blame my mother. I'm going to start going by Anton.
Oh my God! Yeah, why not? Well, you know what? It is. Frankly, it's much more mysterious. But
that's true. There's not many Antons. Yeah,
this looks fantastic. Do we get a date? On
April 26, 2024.
Oh my God!
So,
yeah.
I know a lot of people are like, I don't need this, but I think, quite honestly,
I think we absolutely need this.
I think we do this because I think people need to see like a what if saying of what if the world goes a certain way, because our world is so crazy. I don't think anybody could predict what's happened, in the future that we are living in today. 20 years ago, Charlie, would you?
Oh my God, no, never. It's just to think that for the first time in 200 years that, the capital of the United States could be assaulted by, whomever, citizens of this country. Is absolutely terrifying.
Exactly,
something that hasn't happened since the American Revolution. It's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. So yeah, I don't know, man. So yeah, I am definitely looking forward to this as being a real eye opener and not hopefully a portrayal of what the 2024 election will look like.
Yeah, and Kirk Cameron's not involved, so I guess that's a good thing.
Good stuff. All right, moving right along. I saw this headline and I was like, oh, cool. Werewolf by Night is coming back, but no, it's something else. What do we got?
Yeah, so Charlie, you and I are both aware of the former Dark Universe that was supposed to happen. Universal Monsters were supposed to be a big thing. It was kicking off with Monsterverse. Tom Cruise's The Mummy. I never watched it. Yeah. I know other people did. Not very good. I may rewatch it just because why not? Like curiosity. Maybe it'll be a Halloween film we have for next year. We'll put that down.
Okay.
For,
yeah,
why not?
I can do that. Yeah. Hey, that's 10 months from now. I can handle that.
Exactly. So that failed, and so we thought the Dark Universe was going to be over. We thought, hey, those projects are dead. Well, we got a little movie right before the pandemic shut down. That was called The Invisible Man, and that was highly successful. I loved that movie. Really well done. And the director of that, Lee Winnell, is going to be directing Wolfman.
Lee Winnell, Australian, and the co-star in the original Saw.
I didn't know that. Very cool.
He was the guy in the room with Carrie Elways. Yeah, he was the other guy.
Yeah, so originally this was supposed to have Ryan Gosling starring in it, and it was going to have another director called Derek Cianfrance, and that apparently fell through. So now Lee Winnell is coming back to do this. It's also with Corbett Tucker and a few other folks, and Jason Blum is producing the film. So this is Blumhouse. So we know what, A24 makes good films. Blumhouse typically makes good films. And I'm very excited to see the take on it because, there hasn't been a Wolfman film since that one
2010 with Benicio del Toro. I never saw that.
And then Wolf with Jack Nicholson. Remember that movie? The urinal.
My first year at MSU would have been your second year, so it's before we met. On the campus channel was on a couple of times a day. Yeah. So I saw that movie 24 times.
Campus Channel was great. It's how we saw Pulp Fiction for the first time.
That's right.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
Yes, one guy with the VCR.
What movie is next? Yeah, it was great. Yeah, with those campus movies we also got to see.
Yeah.
So fun time. So this is gonna be a and I'm trying to think if there's anybody else announced for this. I don't believe it is, but the actor who's starring is Christopher Abbott. He's part of the Abbott family from Young and the Restless, Charlie. Just kidding. No fact.
What?
No, I'm just kidding. No.
Unbelievable. So that'd be fun. So so I would like, so I would imagine if this is being produced potentially for the Halloween season, I would hope.
Maybe. I mean, I believe this is actually happening. I believe it's October 2024. So it's not going to be
Called
a
it.
Halloween-y film. Yeah.
I like it. That's fun.
Unless
And, yeah,
Taylor Swift has another concert.
oh, you're right. That really did throw. She is truly the agent of chaos in this world. But you know what?
She was
what's not to
Times
love?
Woman of the Year.
She's yeah, she was. Oh my God. Person
Sure.
Person
of the Year.
Yeah, we're living in the
Commandant of the
21st
year.
century here, Todd. My Commandant Lassard.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Oh, Todd, I love what you found here because not only were you born in April, so you're an April baby. My wife is an April baby. When I got married as a foolish young man, I got married on April Fool's Day, 1999. But how is April Fool's being celebrated in 2024?
Yeah, so DC's doing an event where they've essentially turned all of the Justice League members are turned into apes. So April, which is fantastic.
And
I love that.
It'll be right on the heels of the new Planet of the Apes film, which comes out in April, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, we're going to make it 2024 is the year of apes, April.
Well, there's no Marvel film, so it's got to be.
Yeah, I love these covers. So these covers are great. So you've got all the apes here, and then you've got space Gleek the space monkey, which is fantastic. Then you've got another one with the son of it's Monkey. I think it's Monkey King is the name of the next character, and he's got some banana peels like the famous Crisis cover.
Well, that's what I was saying. I've told you that story, haven't I, about April and her older brother? He was a comic collector, and he gifted April that issue. It's going to be worth millions, and it ended up tore up in her closet, and he found it and he just flipped out. We were in Tardy's, which is one of our local shops here a few years ago, $17 for that issue. I think it was number 7 or 8. Yeah, millions.
Yeah, one of the characters I love that's part of this is there's a real character called Detective Chimp. He is fantastic.
Oh, yes.
I love him. He's like
playable character in one of the Lego Batman movies, as I recall. Yeah, or Lego Batman video games. Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome.
But the best part about this, Charlie, is there is a variant cover that is scratch and sniff, and I see it. Yes, bananas.
It is. There's your chimp detective guy falling, and he's reaching for a banana, and there's a sticker on it. Instead of being the traditional Chiquita banana thing, it says "rub and smell." I think I'm gonna have to pick that up. I don't know about you, but it's tough if you put it behind glass. Would you? Do you have to walk up to it to smell it?
So yeah, you're gonna have to take it out of its protective case. Yeah, I love variant covers that are just ridiculous. I still own a bunch.
I've never heard of a scratch and sniff one though. So a banana bunch. Get on the boat, the banana boat.
I think that may be a segment in the future. I will basically bring out a history of all of the weird variant covers that ever existed.
That sounds like fun. Variant covers are great.
Pictures of them, and we'll go through that. That'll be a good segment, to break things up.
I'm totally on board. And we talked about another segment this week, just as a little teaser for 2024. We're planning on doing a series leading up to Deadpool 3, going through the best of the X-Men film. So that'll probably be five, maybe 6 weeks of us doing that into the Thunderdome. It's something we discussed. So,
sure.
I'd be excited about that. Some of those I haven't seen. I told you Deadpool 2 is on a hotel channel when we were driving back from Vegas. And I was like, I kind of barely don't remember much about this, but it's super a lot of fun. But the X-Men movies have always been a mixed bag, but there's some of them that are really great. So anyway,
absolutely.
All right. Oh, this is crazy. So last story, Mickey Mouse set to become public domain in 2024, but as expected, it's complicated. So Steamboat Willie, which in 1927, maybe it was 1827. Oh, 1928.
1928.
So how is so public domain is 96 years? Is that what they're basically
it's like 96 years. Yeah, that's a weird number because it's not like it's like normal. It was extended because originally it was supposed to be 75 years. It got extended an extra 20 years. So now we're at that point. So as you see, this is coming up. And so what it means is this is basically Mickey Mouse's Law. So now
Mickey Mouse's Law. That sounds like some horrible luring BS. But yes.
So the great news about this is if it can happen to Mickey Mouse, it can happen to anyone else. And the funny part about this is it's not all of Mickey Mouse. It's just one specific version, which will be public domain. And to your point, Charlie, it is Steamboat Willie. If you think about the thin arms, the goofy look, the black, I'm assuming it's going to have to be black and white as well.
Oh, right.
Maybe.
And it's with the long tail and the big shoes that have no socks, but it has like a suction cup around the ankles. Just a very traditional Steamboat Itchy. I think of the Simpsons spoof version of Steamboat Itchy.
Ricky Rat. Yep.
Ricky Rat and Ricky Rouse. So that's fun. But let's not forget that Tigger. Oh my God. So with I wrote Tigger because Winnie the Pooh became public domain. There's that Winnie the Pooh horror movie out there. There's going to be a sequel that Tigger will now appear in. Are you reading this here in this article?
Yes.
My God.
Crazy. Yes.
I didn't see. I'm sure if that comes to a streamer and it somehow comes to I'd love to watch it, but holy crap. Yeah, let's
Charlie,
put that on October.
We're getting burned by a lot of these bad horror films. Is all I'm going to say right now at this point.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Well, it's just throwing stuff against the wall. But I'll be interested. So so that'll be next year. So curious to see what Steamboat Willie Ricky Rouse looks like when we get there.
And Charlie, I'm making it right now. We're going to have a Steamboat Willie mascot of SFU. We're going to own it.
Just keep your eye on the exact date because I don't want to get a letter from Disney.
Exactly.
To say, hey, and we'll take your house. Thank you very much. All right. Well, that is the end of the news. Todd, time to get out that Fuber app, that feeble Uber app. The Geek Easy awaits. Time to talk about stuff that we're enjoying. And we'll be right back after a word from our sponsor. Or not.
Hey, Secret Friends Unite, let me tell you about Zencastr. We use them for our show, and now they're supporting us. Zencastr is now the all-in-one solution making podcasting easy. It's the ultimate web-based podcasting solution. Provides high-quality audio and video podcast production and hosting. With a full suite of professional tools, podcasters can seamlessly record, produce, and publish studio-quality content, all from one dashboard. Being a creator has never been easier. And we chose Zencastr because of the ease of use, high quality output, and it makes it super easy for our guests to come on. We had multiple solutions we tried before, and Zencastr has just been the best fit for us. Why Zencastr? It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sounds and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of zen knowing Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. Have you ever worried what you sound like? Zencastr's post-production process makes you sound buttery smooth. It automatically removes those ums and ahs in your recording. It removes those awkward pauses in conversation too. Set the right podcast loudness and levels while reducing background noise with the click of a button. So if you're interested in making an easy, high-quality podcast just with the click of a browser button, go to zencastr.com/SFU and use our code SFU, and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experience I do for all my podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. Now back to the show.
Talk nerdy to me. Talk nerdy to me.
We're sitting the Geek Easy, cover band's playing, drinks are poured, and we are ready to get our nerd on. Well, Charlie and I were chatting. Basically, I'm just trying to catch up and finish up a lot of the stuff I've started. So one of the things that I finally got back into was The Witcher Season 3. They split the season in half. So I watched the first half, and then the second season wrapped. And now, Charlie, it's going to be really weird because...
Oh, you lost Superman, right? He's gone?
Yeah, exactly. So we're basically are ending on a cliffhanger, but it's not like Henry Cavill died. So I don't know. He's going to have
to show a lot of the back of his head, or was he recast, or is it a new character?
He is. Well, that's the thing. There's a new Witcher. I don't know if it's just recasting Geralt, or if it's a Witcher replacing him, or there's some flim like almost.
So it's like a Green Lantern. Like, no, sorry, you get Bob now.
Exactly. Yeah, and I've been hearing like there's going to be some witchcraft involved, where he basically has to be reconfigured and like kind of like Doctor Who. Kind of like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I'm
which is just what they should do with James Bond. It's what they could have done with Indiana Jones and maybe, breathe some life into the franchise.
Yeah. Liam Hemsworth. So the Hemsworth that was in what, the Hunger Games? Was he in the Hunger Games?
He was the Hunger Games one. Yeah. I know that, I was listening to Do Go On, which is one of the Australian podcasts I love. And they were talking Hemsworth this week. We all know Chris Hemsworth, Thor, and then Liam is who we were just talking about.
Other
and there's another brother. Is he in the business? And I'm just not picturing him, or
no, not really. He's kind
of
he did a commercial that kind of made fun of everything, like he was trying to be Chris Hemsworth.
And he's canceled.
It was a joke. It was a jokey thing. It's like, they always make. I think it's Luke Hemsworth. I think is his name.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, Luke.
So anyway, so you're back watching it, or you haven't gotten to the part where
I finished the season, so we're done with season 3, and it's not like Henry Cavill died or anything happened. We just have this ongoing storyline. So I am curious how they're going to complete it. It's in a really dour place where we don't know what's going to happen next, but I'm loving the show. And it's going to be very weird. I don't know the last time you had a very successful show and you replaced the lead with another actor that was playing the same role.
Dick Van Dyke?
The Bewitched. The Dick switch.
The Dick transplant. Yeah, exactly.
The Dick switch with witches. Yeah, the witch switch.
The Dick switcher. Don't name the episode that. We're gonna get some calls.
I mean, the only thing I could think of is like you've got, and it's not even the main character. It's Rhodey, and it wasn't a main character.
Yeah, because he was a real B character in that first film, and then Don Cheadle has taken that role on to multiple.
Oh yeah, it's his role more so. I bet people wouldn't even remember the fact that Terrence Howard was even involved.
Exactly. Or just like Ed Norton as the Hulk, because then everybody knows Mark Ruffalo.
That's true.
Particularly because of his portrayal of the character in Ragnarok, and then moving on to She-Hulk, which was pretty much universally loved. I mean, people really dug that. So, cool. I've never really clicked with that, just because fantasy is not my jam, but I know a lot of people really, really love it.
I would say it's. I give it credit because it's entertaining, and it doesn't take itself too seriously. Has very good action sequences, and Henry Cavill is awesome. He's kind of like Clint Eastwood in this role because he doesn't say a lot, but when he says stuff, it matters. There is some adult nudity in this, Charlie, as well.
Oh, well, okay. I mean, that was a reason to stop watching Game of Thrones
music.
when it's many boobs and butts. No, when he said Clint Eastwood, I'm like, just made me think back to that last Clint Eastwood movie that he put out, and he's like 100 years old.
Yes.
El Macho Man or something. I remember. No.
Oh, the macho.
Yeah, he's like, I mean, it's just, it sounds like Jack Bauer.
Yeah. I'm guessing it's going to be more like Doctor Who, where it'll be the same Witcher, but it'll be changed or something because of a sacrifice. They have to do something, and look, he's completely changed. Maybe he'll be like amnesia, or maybe he will retain everything but look different. I don't know. I'm curious how they're going to pull it off.
A full score Doctor Who. When does that show come back?
I don't know. I mean, the second half season just came out like in September, October.
Oh, okay. So like probably a year. Just the way
maybe the last one was 2 years between, but that was COVID related. So I don't know.
COVID and then plus the writer's strike.
Yeah.
So, the good news is we'll have lots of entertainment for years to come. So
absolutely.
But anyway, speaking of something that is back in a regular cadence, because regular cadence for a streaming show is about once a year, right? If I'm not mistaken. They're like, hey, it's a summer show.
It feels like it's getting further out, like every 2 years.
Well, yeah.
The norm.
Because because of COVID and the writer's strike, absolutely. But anyway, Reacher is back. Now, this is Alan Richardson is the star. Initially, people knew it about a decade ago because there were a couple of films starring Tom Cruise, which I will never forget. My dear mother, who has worked in entertainment and media, being an ad salesperson in her career, looked at this film when it came out and they said, "Really, Tom Cruise is going to take a guy of his age and try to launch a franchise off of that?" And she was right, because and again, especially looking at Richardson's portrayal of this character, and again, this is spun off of a series of books, if I'm not mistaken, where Jack Reacher is a retired / former Army major. He was part of the Special Investigation Division of the United States Army, and he is just a bulletproof 6'5", 250-pound wall of man. He's nothing but a dude. So yeah, we saw him in the and I'm not even really specifically remembering the plot line of the first season, but he just beats the shit out of anything he sees. That's what he does. And you think, oh God, that's kind of monotonous, whatever it is, but
It's entertaining.
It's a really exceptional story. I thought it was really well told. So we have an entirely new cast, but Reacher basically I want to say he's a hobo because he's not walking around with a spindle, but he's a drifter. He lives off the grid, doesn't have a phone, owns one set of clothing. They always buy, and the whole the first sequence of the first episode, and 3 episodes dropped on Amazon Prime yesterday, and we ended up watching all 3 of them, not in a row, but I'm like, hey, should we parcel these out? But you just really get sucked into the story.
Oh yeah, it's very addictive. It's like, it just gets you going.
Yeah. But no, the whole first sequence was he's somewhere in Alabama and he's in a thrift store buying himself some clothes, and he doesn't have enough money, so he walks outside of the ATM and he sees this came from the trailer, by the way, so I don't think I'm spoiling anything. He sees this poor woman who's sobbing with, bruises on her face, taking money out of the ATM, and he's like, don't turn around. Did you get carjacked? Because there's, minivan down the block. You know what I'm talking about from the trailer? Mm-hmm. Minivan down the block, guy sitting there. And Reacher just walks over, wraps a jacket around his arm, punches out the window, grabs this guy, keeps slamming his head between the door. And in the end of it, he opens this, because the little kid's in the backseat, opens a sliding door. And it was funny. April's like, well, you could have handled that a little better. He says to the kid, hey, kid, you want to see your mom again? That sounds really ominous. I don't think that's what you say to a kid who's being held at gunpoint. But anyway, the plot line of the series is you're getting Reacher back together with his unit from back when he was in the army. And you're getting a feeling it was 10, 15 years prior. But it starts with, a helicopter flying at night over the Catskill Mountains, and a body drops out of it, falls and smashes on the ground, and it's one of his guys, we come to find out. But we don't know why. So his unit comes back together. The only recognizable actor, and it's like, oh, I know that lady's face, but I had to look her up, was the woman who played, and this is tough, but it's an MCU reference. She was Medusa in the Inhumans. Very handsome woman. But that's the only name that I can really pick out of that. But she's good. Yeah, exactly. But the villain is Robert Patrick, who is a grizzled, grumpy, not very much like the T-1000 looking kind of guy. But this is absolutely great. So yeah, it's just Reacher kicking the shit out of people. He in a fight, maybe he'll get stabbed, but he's still flipping people around and breaking arms and breaking ankles. And, it's truly not very sophisticated to be like, oh God, I love Reacher, but I really do love Reacher. It was fantastic. I like Richardson. He's pretty sweet. So it's fun. And again, it's on Prime. I'm getting the feeling it'll have this hybrid schedule like Daisy Jones and the Six, which is a show that I absolutely loved earlier this spring, where it's like 3, 2, 2, 3. So it's like maybe 8, but whatever, they release it in a cadence that maybe like, hey, these 3 episodes really go together and it ends in a great cliffhanger. And so we keep people engaged for coming back. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I love it. And again, Amazon Prime, that's a streaming service you probably have anyway, because you love Amazon Prime. So go watch it.
I can't wait for ads in 2024 on Amazon Prime.
Oh my God. The thing is, it's all cyclical, man. People are like, oh man, streaming, no more ads, because that's what I hate about watching stuff on network TV. If you're watching me on TV, observe my fingers. Somebody's got to pay the bills. Somebody's got to pay the bills.
It's apparently Amazon's #1 streaming original. So that's good.
Oh, that show is? That's cool. Yeah. So anyway, highest recommendation. I'm assuming it'll air over probably 4 weeks. So yeah, jump on board. Good stuff. Well, cool. Well, Todd, that takes us out of the Geek Easy. Time to skip out on the check yet again, because I'm pretty sure that somebody spit in my old fashioned and somebody ate half of my hamburger. So I am not paying, but I am getting on my Air Qantas app and paying that outrageously expensive fee to get down to the land down under. Hologram Tina and the mutants are waiting for us to talk about a film.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome!
Thank you, Tina. We're sitting in the Thunderdome where the mutants have been gathered for a topic or game to be entertained. And this week, we're continuing Creepy Christmas with a movie that came out in 2021 called Black Friday. So we watched this I watched it for free on Crackle. Charlie thinks he watched it on Tubi, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Tubi.
Yeah, so this movie, I think was kind of a darling. Well, I think it was because
it was a darling.
because I think it came out during the pandemic, it got a little
Right.
bit more coverage than it really should have. So I was like, oh, this should
Right.
be interesting because it stars
It should be interesting.
yeah,
It should
Devon
be.
Sawa from. I mean, he's been in like Idle Hands. He's been involved with Child's Play, I believe.
Final Destination, the first one. He
Yeah.
was the star. He was the main
Yeah.
character. Yeah.
Exactly, Michael Jai White. You remember him as the voice, the actor who played Spawn.
Right.
So that big one. Bruce Campbell.
Our personal friend Bruce Campbell, who we met
Yeah.
on the MSU campus in 1998. I'm going to say 1997. When he was bankrolling that B movie.
Correct, a
Wow.
producer behind a movie
Yeah.
that, very, very much at that time, indie films were
Yeah.
literally made for nothing, and that film
Yeah.
was made for nothing.
And I still have my photograph, him doing this to me, and I'm just like, this guy.
I took that photo, I believe.
I would imagine it was you, me, and my
You
college
wearing a sweater.
girlfriend, Bree Fowler. Yeah, lots of sweat. It was the 90s, lots of sweaters.
Exactly. And Seth Green actually did a voice of a doll. Remember the doll in this movie, Charlie?
That was him. Yeah,
that was Seth Green. Dower Dennis.
The dowel that was the foil all the way to the end of the movie.
Sounded like a dad who was unemployed.
Yes. Unemployed
bear.
dour dad.
Yeah.
I had to look. The female lead looked super familiar, and even if you look at, because this is, you have a grab here from IMDb, has just a very striking appearance. I'm like, she was on some show. It was the Shannara Chronicles, if you remember that.
Okay.
Because I'm like,
from MTV.
I'm
When
like,
MTV was trying to do something.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm going to have to look this up because, it was so long ago that I would have had MTV. So I haven't had terrestrial cable since we moved back into this house 5 years ago.
She was a little girl in Pan's Labyrinth. She was a little girl in that.
Oh, there you go.
Interesting. Yeah.
There you
So, so this movie, the premise is essentially a group of toy store employees must protect each other from a horde of parasite-infected shoppers. This is directed by Casey Tebow, who, Charlie, when I looked up his IMDb, he has directed a lot of Aerosmith videos.
Oh, he's in the pocket of Aerosmith. Well, this was filmed in, because, that's one of my passions is finding out where stuff is filmed. Is filmed in and around Massachusetts. Aerosmith is from Boston. So do you see the connection? Local production. Yeah.
Yes. So this is essentially like, think of like a show like Super Center, Superstore.
Superstore. Without any of the fun or good actors.
Exactly.
Okay, so I take that back. There were some good actors, in so much that Bruce Campbell was in it.
Exactly. So Bruce Campbell is the store manager. You've got Stephen Pack Bryan playing the assistant store manager. Devon Sawa and the others, cast members, are essentially just staff who work there. It's Black Friday. They're getting prepared. They're basically working there. They're unhappy, but they are going to get paid time and a half for the bonuses.
Right. They got bonuses coming, or so they think.
Yeah, so this movie opens, Charlie, with essentially called an asteroid or something, crash lands through the store before it's getting ready to be opened, and essentially spawns a creature.
Oh, but of course.
What I did not realize, and you find this out at the end, I thought this was an isolated thing, but apparently this is more of an invasion because this essentially is happening all over the world. So not spoilers, but that is something we find out later because I'm like, something was telling me like, why are things happening that I didn't think they were? Like I was thinking of like Night of the Creeps where something lands and it's isolated and they got to deal with it and that's it. They solve the problem.
The thing or something like that. Yeah,
exactly. So so we get that and we essentially then start off on a pretty, I would say, normal type of horror film where there's a creature slowly taking out the cast. The cast is a mix of old, young, but most of these people are unhappy, and Bruce Campbell's kind of playing against type because he's essentially playing like a middle manager,
very straight man,
weaselly,
company weasel. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, and quite honestly, this is a lot like the last film where I felt like the premise was cute and fun, but ultimately I felt like, I think the budget was pretty good, and I thought that the creatures were pretty entertaining, to be honest, and some of the kills weren't too bad. But what did you think?
Well, Again, I think I suffered from what we suffered from last week because you described how you watched the film. You're like, well, I was watching it on one computer while looking at something on another computer. So you were more listening than watching when it came to the movie we watched last time. And then with me, I was staying in a hotel room where the TV was futzing out. So it would go out at a moment and I'd have to plug it back in. But I didn't do it hurriedly because it's not like I was so engaged by the story. I mean, I feel like I maybe paid a little bit less attention to this one. I don't know. I just didn't find anything really compelling about the characters because the setting seemed so fake. Oh, it's a giant toy store, it was because I think was it in maybe 2018 that Toys R Us went away? And that, retail in general.
Yeah, We Love Toys was the name of the fake store.
Yeah. And retail in general just continues to shrink because people shop online. And so the entire premise of a busy store with all this like Black Friday really takes you more back to the 90s where people were breaking down the door, and killing each other so that they can get a great deal on a TV or something. And to me, it kind of seemed like it was a premise that I just didn't really glom onto because it just didn't feel very modern. Because like a big fancy toy store, I'm reminded of the beginning of Chucky. And how ridiculous I thought that was, because that movie is a shootout in downtown Chicago in the dead of winter between Chris Sarandon's detective and, Chucky Lee Chucky, who is the character played by Brad Dourif. Yeah. And they're in this super fancy toy store in the ghetto in Chicago. And I'm just like, I don't feel like a super fancy toy store would be in this downtown super gross part of Chicago. But even back then, there were stores like FEO Schwartz and, in Times Square in New York City, that's still a thing, or the big Lego store is still a thing. But this kind of general, like, oh, we have very generic, like, setting for,
it
children.
Looked like an abandoned Kmart. It looked like
exactly.
an old Kmart that was like, oh, we have an old Kmart that we can use to film in.
Right. Which I'm sure and again, in Metro Boston or wherever it is they filmed this, I'm sure it wasn't hard to come by. So yeah, the setting seemed very like, oh, this really could have worked better back in 2001 or 2011 as opposed to 2021. So, and I just couldn't get I couldn't work up a lot of enthusiasm for the character because Devon Sawa is like, well, I'm a divorced dad, but I'm a dope who works at a toy store, and
a loser,
I have a young girlfriend, but she's not really my girlfriend. But is she legal? I sure hope so. And then the nerdy kid who gets in his face, and I feel like if Michael Jai White would have lived longer, he might have brought a little more interest to the interaction. Because they have it out on the loading dock where Devon Sawa is like, the girl is like, Marnie is her name. And thank you for putting the cast names up here. And Devon Sawa is Ken. He's like, well, we're not really a couple because I've never seen you outside the store, and we've made out a little bit. And then the Chris, who's the young nerdy kid, like, you're a loser, man. Why don't you be there for your kids or this and that? And it's just like, this is terrible. It was just. It was the strife of like they're in a bad environment, things that they've probably to say just finally comes out,
right? And to your point, Michael Jai White's the first one to get knocked off, and he was the one who had it all together. He was the one that was most capable of taking.
That's why he had to die.
These creatures, and he ended up sacrificing himself to let other people live, and. I guess to get into this a little bit, so the creature starts off as this like that lands and takes out the first guy is like it looks like almost like a bubbling jellyfish thing.
Scary bubbling jellyfish thing.
Yeah, and then it turns them into, as they develop over time, they get this like weird, almost like a beak face with these bad teeth, and they have like a almost like an alien like device that comes out of them and shoots and then infects them.
Right, because that's what happened with the one like wasn't a straight through, like a through and through to face. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and then over time, as more people were captured, then this like almost maybe think of like Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Charlie, where there was like these pods of
Attack
like
of the Killer Tomatoes
that it kept on growing, and then I'm like, okay, that seems different.
Well, it was all Play-Doh-y because in the in the big bad fight in the end of the third act, the creature, it becomes very Godzilla-like, and they escape the store, and by then the only surviving characters are, of course, the nerd boy, the jailbait, and then the loser guy played by Devon Sawa, and they're finally, but this thing is it's shooting tentacles everywhere, and they finally slay it. because Nerd Boy drives a high-low, or he's driving some kind of a piece of equipment.
Yeah, a little,
and gets the critter to snag it, as in to eat it, and then he jumps out of it, and it smashes it into his face, and it's bleeding everywhere. And then that's how they managed to get away. And then you're right, they got away, but then you see another critter in another store in the distance. And I guess I wasn't paying attention enough to saying, but I thought they just killed that thing. Are we just looking at it at a different perspective? It was just not doing a great job of holding my attention.
Well, because there was calls throughout the film of like, oh, this is a store that's like another district. Oh, we're being attacked, and all the customers are going crazy.
Right.
And all this stuff is like, okay, so I don't know why, because I'm not sure why the people were getting infected and going elsewhere. We did see the customers showing up infected, like looking infected. So I'm guessing these things were just landing all over the place, infecting people.
Right.
And then that's what all happened. We did get we did get a little bit of insight into the characters. Like we then found out like Bruce Campbell, he's a lifer and he's been there forever, and he liked it because it was kind of like a family to him. Although he says like, yeah, it's a place where I can like yell at people and feel good about myself when I treat them badly. So I'm like, not a great guy.
No, but you know what? That's a lot of people's families. We were talking about that earlier. There's no doubt about it. And yeah, he's this very buttoned up, wearing a bow tie and whatever it is. And then they also find out that he screwed everybody out of their bonuses.
Yeah, there's no bonuses.
But then he ends up sacrificing.
And then there's going to be layoffs too. That comes out too. There's going to be layoffs.
Well, exactly. Because you're like, oh boy, I work in a giant toy only store in the 2020s. Yeah, you're done.
Yes.
So they. Obviously, they get away, but this is still going on all over the world. So there is no satisfying conclusion to any of it.
I guess, we find out like Devon Sawa's his family's safe, so they're going to go see him with these two other people. Right. And they I guess they now have a calling, which is to be a killer of these creatures, I guess, even though they're not very good at it.
They're just going to find ways to set them up with more high-lows to throw in their face. That's how we kill them. High lows.
Yeah,
gardening equipment.
It kind of reminds me of the end of like Cloverfield Lane, where she escapes from one horror to then be immersed to say, I went from the fire to the fireplace. Essentially, fire of the frying pan. What is the?
It is something to the frying. It is something to the frying pan. What is the expression? Fuck.
Somebody will tell us.
Yeah. Something to the front. Yeah, please add us on X.
Give us the right.
Or not X. Please add us on Threads and let us know what, or in our Discord.
Exactly.
It's from the fire to the fire. Damn it!
To the fire. It goes from something not some bad enough to worse. So something whatever is worse than the frying pan.
The frying pan, but the frying pan is. I don't know. You know what? We just got to let it go. We got to let it go. Oh my goodness. Well, this is going to be a very short show because we just don't have a lot to say about this movie. So, I mean,
I wish there was more depth. I wish there was more to say. The creatures I thought were pretty decent.
Right.
But beyond that, pretty light. It's probably a tight 90, and I'm surprised the movie actually even lasted that long.
Right. And I just, there wasn't any emotional core that made me really care about any of the characters. Devon Sawa was like, I got to get back to my kids, but he kind of sucks, right? He just did not. He was just a loser, man. He was, like you said, Todd, he's our age, so he was, at that time in the mid 40s, and he's working in Toys R Us or whatever. It's like,
I guess in a lot of ways, we've all met people that are like, you obviously thought your life was going to go in a different place, and you've never left. I will say though, the fact that they went with basically a huge kaiju type of character, I thought it wasn't bad. But the fact is, the thing didn't move at all. It was just like hanging out in the building, would eventually like click people with its finger or shoot the thing out. But that was it.
Because it was a literal marionette. They had a guy, that's what was up above, some guy going,
pretty much, a guy in a suit, maybe. Yeah. So I'll give them credit that they did, I think, the best they could with like the special effects, the costumes, very practical effects. So it worked pretty well there. But other than that, the execution, not so great. Not much to be done in this movie.
Well, I challenge you. Let's find a great creepy Christmas movie to talk about. Well, no, we're out of time. This is our last one, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, unless there's like a New Year's Eve killing movie that we can.
Oh, there's gotta be.
So
all
if
right.
we do that, we'll do that for the next episode.
Research drones. Yes, hit us up on Threads or on our Discord, particularly our Patreons. If you know of a great horror movie that's centered around New Year's Eve, and it can't just be the fact that the movie New Year's Eve wasn't there a New Year's Eve movie? Or
yes, it was one of those. It was one of those like romantic movies where it has like the cameo casts and things like that. Yeah.
Right. Well, I want one of those, but it's also a slasher. So I want you to find it for us.
Where the ball actually comes down and just starts crushing people.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the ball on a whacking pole. So out of the frying pan into the fire. So I was
close.
I had it backwards. Frying pan into the fire. So you're like, here you go. Oh my gosh.
I have to come up with the name of this episode, so we'll see where it goes.
And then the frying pan into the what? All right. Well, let's give this a rating of 1 out of 10 jelly
Dower Dennis's?
Dower Dennis's. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And Dower Dennis, again, Seth Green's contribution is that he was a malfunctioning talking teddy bear, which at the denouement, the big conclusion, he's used as a decoy several times, and ultimately he does survive, but gets run over as Devin Spawa speeds off. So yes, he's the unsung hero. So 1 out of 10 Dower Dennis's. Where do we land?
I'm going to be a little bit more forgiving than the last film. So I'm going to give this one a 3.5 out of, because I think he was ripped in half. So 3.5 Dower Dennis's out of 10.
Oh, gotcha. I have no forgiveness for this film. I'm going to give it my lowest rating ever at about a 1. This
really worse than
really
It's
dreadful.
a Wonderful Knife?
Well, yeah, because that movie had okay, I got nothing. I was trying to think of one thing I enjoyed about that, but it was
the cult, Charlie. Remember the cult where they changed all of a sudden? That was like that didn't even make any sense.
They were, he was. It's not like they were in the Mirror universe and he was wearing a mustache.
No.
So yeah, it was really wacky. But yeah, so that is the end of Creepy Christmas. But hopefully there is a slasher New Year's. I think we should do this with every holiday. I want a slasher.
Oh, Arbor Day is going to be great.
Flag Day. I want a Flag Day movie. Somebody gets stabbed by flags. A slasher. Well, The Purge is our 4th of July movie. I want a crazy horror movie for every holiday. We did
Bloody Valentine. My Bloody Valentine. We did the new one. We did the old one. There's a new one.
We might have. Yeah, the old one was filmed where Mark lives.
Yeah, so we did the old one. We didn't do the new one though with Jensen Ackles.
Oh, gotcha. Well, you know what? Then put it on the schedule. I'm down with that.
All right.
Well, cool. All right. Well, gosh, that wraps up a very short recording of our show. Now, Todd, are we off next week?
We'll see. We'll see. If we end up having some time, we will. If not, then you'll see us in the new year.
Yes, you most definitely will. Well, Todd, where do people find you out there?
Oh, they find me on Threads at Teoxtra, at Secret Friends Unite, on Twitter, just because I post everything still there. Just let people know what's going on Twitter as well.
Twitter is a waypoint station. Well, I have given up Twitter, but I am over on Threads and Instagram. C3 Carpenter is where you find me. And as always, my lovely wife, April, and I do run the USS Grand Petoskey, one of the biggest chapters of the International Star Trek fan club in the world. We're based here in West Michigan, but we have chapters that I'm responsible for as regional coordinator for Region 13 all over Michigan and Eastern Canada. If you're a Trekker within the sound of my voice, if you live there or if you live elsewhere, give it a good googs to sfi.org, USS Grand Petoskey, or Region 13, and reach out, and I would be happy to help you find some Trekkers in your vicinity. With that, as always, I will thank you for joining us. I will tell you that sharing is caring, and to keep on trucking.
Be the hero, not the villain.
In a truck.
Into the frying pan, into the fryer.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow at Secret Friends U on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.